Now, I haven't used or owned my Galaxy S20 5G for as long as I have my iPhone 11, meaning I've gotten to play around, test out my iPhone 11 way much more than I have the S20 5G that I have here, but I still wanted to go ahead and do a head-to-head comparison and see what comes out of it, and here's what I found out. Now, first things first, the design. By now, we are all very, very much familiar with the iPhone design that typically stick with one for many generations. So we are looking at something that is very familiar, except this time it has more of a chunkier body when compared to the more compact Galaxy S20, and it has a fully flat display. So it does feel very solid and heavier in the hands when compared to the Galaxy S20 5G, which on the other hand is more of a very light phone and, as I mentioned, very compact. The Galaxy S20 has more of a slimmer body, and it's not even as wide as the iPhone 11 is. It weighs 168 grams, IP68 rated for dust and water, versus the iPhone 11, which is at 194 grams and also IP rated 6.8. Both phones have Gorilla Glass on both the front and the back, and the S20 display is a 6.2 inch with extremely thin bezels. You're looking at 89.5% screen to body ratio versus the iPhone 11, which is a 6.1 inch at 79% screen to body ratio. The S20 has the screen which is kind of a mix of a flat and slightly rounded edges. Along with this extremely thin bezel, you have this tiny punch hole in the middle there, whereas the iPhone 11 has these very thick bezels. By the way, if you haven't done so already, please do me a huge favor and hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a gigantic boost to the channel, and I truly appreciate your support here. Now, without pushing too far, let's talk about display, and I'm gonna say hands down, the S20 really takes this one home. We are talking dynamic AMOLED display versus whatever the iPhone 11 has. The S20 has a Quad HD Plus for the main display resolution with HDR Plus support, which is the complete opposite of the LCD of the iPhone 11, meaning the screen is slightly larger and has a better contrast ratio and is way brighter than that of the iPhone 11. Now, with all of this being said, you have to keep in mind, and you cannot deny this, that Apple does a fantastic job to make the best out of that LCD display. There is just no question about that. Everyone who owns an iPhone 11, including myself, unless I put it side by side with another device that has better resolution, I cannot tell the difference. It still looks very good. And think about it, how many average consumers are out there buying both the iPhone 11 and another phone that has a higher resolution just so that they can compare screen resolution? None. Meaning for people who own the iPhone 11, they actually really don't care. Now, performance. You are looking at an A13 Bionic chip with 4 gigs of RAM, and like I, along with many others, have said before, you cannot tell based off of performance. It is extremely snappy and fluid. One can only assume that with that low resolution, it would perform even better, because you have to keep in mind, this is a top tier chip. That's the same one that's found in the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but this time it's in a phone that has slightly lower specs than those two I just mentioned. So Apple has done an amazing job at optimizing performance here, making this thing an absolute beast in performance. The S20 has 12 gigs of RAM coupled with the fastest chip on an Android device. Clearly, it will push for better multitasking, and everything is fast on here. Very smooth and very fluid, as you would imagine. Now, let's quickly brush on refresh rate. The iPhone 11 boasts a 60 Hz refresh rate, which is really smooth. You would even question whether you need more than that. Apple just knows how to squeeze everything out of any specs that they have, but it's just undeniable that a 120 Hz display found on the S20 is almost day and night. when you compare that to the 60 Hz on the iPhone 11, even though that also is very smooth. Now for camera, they both have 12 megapixel standard wide cameras on the back there. You have a larger sensor on the S20, which brings in more details and less noise, 8K video, and it also has a great zoom camera. Both phones have ultra wide cameras, but you have to remember that Apple's camera game is just on top of the world this year, especially video. It has fantastic autofocus and also face recognition, which the S20 is also pretty good at. Autofocus is pretty good on the S20, but then again, a ton more features on the S20. So for software, it's gonna be more of what you want out of the environment, right? So features versus customization. Clearly, if you were with Apple, you're in a more controlled and very stable environment versus Android or versus the S20 where you'd be more in an open world where you could customize and do whatever you want. So it truly depends on the type of person that you are and what you want to do with your phone. The iPhone 11 software is what we all know provides an incredible user experience. iOS has proven over and over to be very stable, and Apple prides itself on its support. So the iPhone 11 will be supported for years. We have seen up to 5 years of support on some Apple devices, whereas the Samsung S20 may last a couple years, with updates sometimes not being pushed out immediately to your phone when it comes out. That being said, One UI does wonders on this version of Android. Samsung continues to impress me every year with what they do with One UI. I truly didn't know I was gonna like it and stick with it this long. As far as usability and accessibility, you have for storage 120 gigs to start up for the Galaxy S20 with the option to expand that using a micro SD card, meaning it's definitely a better value when it comes down to storage versus the iPhone 11, which starts at 64 gigs with no option to upgrade storage. I mentioned earlier already, the S20 has the 5G and also the high refresh rate. You could truly customize it. You have 2D face scanner and an ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, USB-C versus Lightning connector. The iPhone 11 has Face ID, which is just way better. It's actually 20 times more secure than Samsung fingerprint scan. Both phones have great speaker for sound. As far as battery goes, depending on what you are doing with your phone, the iPhone 11 battery will last very long. Battery management is fantastic on the iPhone 11 because standby time just almost doesn't even move. Unless you are using your phone, it just won't move. The S20 have 4,000 milliamp hour, so it's no jokes either. It charges and is able to handle 25 watt charging, whereas the iPhone 11 does up to 18 watt charging. The S20 5G was priced at $1,000 when it came out. The iPhone 11, $700 when it came out. So big difference in price there. But here's my take. The Galaxy S20 will offer you a better screen, a more versatile camera, a compact and comfortable portable phone, plus the amazing performance. Whereas the iPhone 11 will offer you a fantastic performance also with focus on your user experience that is coupled with the ecosystem. It is known that the continuity found in the Apple ecosystem makes everything flows just so smooth. So if you are in it for the long term, for a more controlled and stable environment with a huge focus on the user experience, the iPhone 11 might be the way to go. However, if you are in it for the hardware and crazy specs improvement in an open world, then the S20 5G might just be the one for you. Either way, I hope this was informative to you and I hope this helps your purchasing decision. Please don't forget to like, comment, of course, subscribe. I'm gonna catch you in the comment section and I'm also gonna catch you in the next video. Peace.